Story 1. BFM35 had S with me while one F35 was asleep without my consent. Hi everyone, I want to get this off my chest because I can't tell anyone. Me and my BF have been together for about 4 years altogether. We sleep over at each other's house and in the same bed. 2 months ago, I was staying over at his place. I was sleeping and was suddenly awoken by my BF penetrating me. I woke up and told him that I was not amused to say the least. He didn't stop right away. Eventually he did after me expressing my aggravation. We do not have an agreement that he can just do that. I understand some couples have, so just wanted to add that. I always told him that he can wake me up and ask if I go to bed earlier. And normally he does. I think maybe he did this before and I just didn't wake up. But not sure, so that is not fair to assume. But it is something that goes through my mind. I was pissed and tried to talk to him. But he just gets mad and says I'm calling him RT. I am not, but I do feel violated and disrespected. I have to add that I have a history of SAW, and one of the persons who I trusted, my stepbrother, touched me from 12 to 16 years old. No, this is not a S. Why help me stepbrother, I am stuck story. I digress, but I want to say that he knows this. He is aware of this past, and I don't think he understands how much this hurts me. Even if I didn't have that past, it would hurt. I tried to talk to him, but he just gets mad. He says I'm calling him RT. And says that he doesn't feel like he did anything wrong because I am his girlfriend. I tried to make him see why it hurts me so much and why what he did was wrong. But he didn't even apologize. I recorded this convo and listened to it over and over again. He didn't say sorry once and keeps saying that he doesn't see why it was wrong what he did because I am his GF. I didn't think I had to write a handbook for him to explain what SA is. I did have a second conversation about it with him and he was a little calmer, but his stance was the same. He didn't think he did anything wrong because I am his GF. I tried to point out that it's wrong either way, but on top of that come the problem that he knows my history and still disregards my feelings and bodily autonomy. I haven't told anyone because he is still my BF and I don't want people to look at him weird. But I had to get this off my chest because I feel like I am going to burst. I want to cry, scream, hurt him, hurt myself. I just don't know anymore. Story 2. Stuck between my 34M wife 34F and parents 60s. I grew up in a very tight-knit, close family. It me, my parents, and my brother. When my brother and I grew up and starting dating, seeing women, my parents kind of had this expectation that our wives, whomever they may be, would join our tight family and we'd all continue to be very close. I got married in 2020 during the pandemic. We were originally going to have a rather large wedding, but it ended up being 12 people. Because of COVID. We've been married for 3 years and, for the most part, our marriage has been great. Between my wife and I, we don't really have any issues besides occasional, mild disagreements here and there. The problem comes in with my parents, more specifically my mom, however, when larger issues arise. My mom, because of this expectation they've had for so long about us all being close even after marriage, wants us to come visit them every single weekend. This would be fine except for some issues. Firstly, we don't live 10 minutes away like my brother and his wife do. We live 45 minutes away when there's no traffic. I feel like they compare us to my bro and his wife because my parents see them all the time. Secondly, my brother and his wife have 2 kids, whom my parents babysit Monday to Friday. So they see them often. My wife and I don't have kids, so we don't see them during the weekdays. Thirdly, my wife and I work stressful jobs 5 days a week. My wife sees the weekend as our time to just relax and get our mental health in order. She doesn't feel like we need to sacrifice time every single weekend to visit my parents when we could be taking care of ourselves. We visit my parents every 2 to 3 weeks. Typically my parents will accept it, but every now and then, like yesterday, I will get an angry phone call from my mom, asking why I can't come see them this weekend, even though I saw them last weekend and will likely see them next weekend. This has taken a toll on myself and my wife because we feel like we are trying our best, but my family now sees me as a black sheep who, ever since he got married, doesn't see his parents, brother, or niece and nephew enough. Whenever my family needs me for something, taking care of my grandparents, cooking for them, helping with budgeting or moving, etc., I'm always there for them. But my wife feels like their issues with us not seeing them enough indicates that they don't recognize these instances of me being there for them. Another point of tension between my wife and my mom is the fact that my wife is a really invested cat mom. Our cats are very important to her, but my mom has been terrified of cats her whole life, so they don't come to our place as much as we would like. and when they do, the cats are put into a room, which my wife doesn't tend to like. I told my wife about the tight-knit family and their expectations before we got married, but when I bring that up now, she says she didn't get the extent of it when I explained before. It's just tough because I feel like a failure as a son, as a brother, as an uncle, and most of all, as a husband. I hold a lot of guilt for what I've put all of these people through. My wife wanted me to mention: 1. I FaceTime my parents every night before dinner. 2. We're doing as much as we can to be involved, but it's never enough. They have too many unrealistic expectations. 3. It feels like we are not respected as grown, married adults with our own responsibilities. Just because we don't have kids, we don't have kids because for the past 2 years we've struggled with fertility issues, which has taken a huge toll on our mental health. 4. We need a solution in finding a balance without hurting anyone. Story 3. I found out I was the other woman. Since November, I had been seeing this guy somewhat casually and I really liked him. That being said, he was terrible at communicating and in retrospect, there were a lot of red flags. He wouldn't answer my texts for days sometimes, insisted we only meet in my town, made a lot of weird excuses, and was generally very distant. Well, now I know why. Over the weekend we had tentative plans to meet on Sunday, but he was being as usual very slow to text me back. On a whim, I decided to try to find him on a photography website I use VSCO and saw he had an account, and that it was reposting a lot of this girl's photos. I went to her profile and my stomach dropped because they had so many photos together, photos posted long after I had met him, and we started hanging out. He even took her on his family vacation right after we started talking. I screenshotted a particularly couple-y photo and sent it to him, and he tried to tell me that they were broken up, bold-faced lie. I immediately found his girlfriend on Facebook and told her that I was pretty sure he was actively cheating on her. Some people may think that's weird, but to me it's basic human decency. She deserved to know. She immediately responded, asked to call me, and we talked for a while just relaying our stories and freaking out together. What breaks my heart is that she was so nice, a truly beautiful girl with a clearly amazing soul. She thanked me and went out of her way to tell me that I wasn't a homewrecker or anything, and that she hopes that I'm someday able to trust men again after he so thoroughly gaslighted me and her. I don't know how I will trust again, because I had really tried to put myself out there after a long period of severe depression, and this is the first guy I've liked in a really long time. I don't know why he felt the need to cheat. She said she had truly never seen this coming, and God, she's such a great girl that I can't fathom why he'd cheat at all. I hate him for what he did to her, and they had been together for 2+ years. I cannot fathom why he'd do this, and I'm incredibly furious at him. That's all. I just needed to vent about this insanity. Story 4. My coworker stinks. I cannot describe the disgusting melding of foulness that assaults my nostrils 3 shifts a week. It has layers. Start with a base layer of cheap, greasy food. I calzone, fried chicken, or a large pizza, either fresh or reheated in the microwave. He eats this for both lunch and dinner to keep the scent freshly basted on. Now you might correctly assume that with a diet like would make this coworker a heavy fellow. So add the poorly washed fat-filled smell of a 350-pound dude with some lazy hygiene into the mix. He is also a frequent and heavy smoker. It's one of the few reprieves I get from this hideous stench hydra. Unfortunately, it also adds the tinge of stale cigarettes to the mix. But by far the worst is the foot odor. It's the canvas that the rest of this rank stank is painted on. It fills the space between our 2 desks and is constantly crawling over to remind me that it exists. He recently removed his shoes to rub his feet from a hard day of sitting at his chair checking his phone all day instead of working. My vision literally narrowed to a point and I almost passed out. I always thought that kind of stench was just for comic effect before that moment. HR won't get involved. This is a double-edged sword because whenever I ask HR to intervene, they tell me it's an issue that needs to be resolved between us in private. If I tell him to please at least buy new shoes, he gets upset and goes to complain to HR, who of course does nothing. I don't want to leave. I love this job, but the avatar of foulness that I have to share a desk with makes me fear leaving the house in the morning. Story 5. Today I screwed up by trying to surprise my wife in the shower. This morning I 38M was doing some housework in the basement while the wife 37F was doing some upstairs. When I finished up what I was doing, I headed upstairs and didn't see her anywhere. I heard the shower in the master bath running and assumed she must have needed a shower. I thought it's been a while since we've showered together, so maybe I'd surprise her by hopping in with her. I got undressed and snuck into the bathroom, and as soon as I opened the shower door I heard a scream and realized that my 15-year-old daughter was the one in our shower. I bolted into our closet and shut the door behind me. While I was getting dressed again, the wife came running in to figure out what the screaming was about, and our daughter ran to her room and locked herself in. Turns out the wife was in the other bathroom using the shower to clean the kitchen trash can. Our daughter hasn't said a word to either of us since. TL, doctor assumed the wife was in our shower, but found my 15-year-old daughter in it after I got naked and I tried to join.